Howdy folks, Sapper here, aka Sean, and I am bringing you North Africa, Africa Corp versus the Desert Rats, 1940 to 1942 by Multi-Man Publishing. It is a standard combat series game. It's been a little bit since I've played a game. Of course, I've been busy working, and then, as usual, the same flimsy defense of video games, right? But, so this is not necessarily my first attempt at an SCS game. I do have It Never Snows, which I think I played a very short scenario. I also have Day of Days, which I plan on getting on the table sometime in the near future. But I am playing the very first scenario, which is Operation Brevity, 15 May 1941. It is a one-turn scenario. It's only played on this map, and it's played basically this very small section. So I'm going to attempt to do this. I guarantee that I'm going to get something horribly wrong as far as the supply stuff goes. To me, the supply rules are a little confusing. So I know that there's going to be some people that might watch this and they're going to be screaming at the television screen because I have totally screwed up supply. But that's okay, because I don't do this for a living, and that's what you get for writing supply rules that are confusing. So this is the setup as the rule book goes, or the scenario setup instructions go. There is 2 Australian units over to the east, which I will move them. But as far as the camera, I'm not going to adjust the camera just so I can get those 2 units on in view that will eventually move over to the gameplay area. So we start out with, so according to the sequence of play, we're not going to do any of the pre-turn stuff. So random events, reinforcements, and initiative. The initiative is already predetermined to be the Commonwealth. So we will get an admin move first. Let me see here. The Axis get 2 airstrikes. The Commonwealth get 3. I don't know if you can see those. Oh, I didn't place my supply units for the Axis. So I placed 2 supply. The Commonwealth gets 4 supply units. I put 2 under this stack, and I put 2 under this stack. I need to place these 3. I think again, you know, I don't know optimal placement, but I'm going to put all 3 underneath there. They should be. I'm hoping they will be okay. All right. I'm going to get this out of the way first. One of my complaints so far with this game is we're using half-inch counters. The hexes, I believe, are just barely large enough. Hexes are too small. Counters are too small, at least for somebody, you know, I'm almost 50 years old, so maybe some young guy is fine, but you can get a lot of, the stacking limit is 4 units, but, you know, I've got supply stuff, then you're going to have activated markers maybe, and you're going to have DG markers maybe, and then you've got leaders, so you can get a pretty large stack of units, or a stack of chits per hex. And it's very hard to maneuver these things around. So, and there's a lot of information crammed into a hex. Let's look at, so Halfaya Pass, for example. We've got, what is it? I think it's 3 different pieces of terrain in here. So you have this is a hill or a slope. Then you have a hill, and then you have this road that you can barely see because the road, or let me see, it is a track, I think. Or no, that's road. So see, that's one of the things, right? The colors are are very similar. So there's a road that goes from here to here. There's a lot of information, and then there's an escarpment too. So there's a lot of information crammed in here. It's very small, And then you put a stack of units there, and now you can't see what's in that hex, right? So if you want to be able to see, if you don't have a very good memory, if you haven't played this scenario a lot or in this section of the map a lot, you're not going to know what's there. So now you're going to have to move a giant stack. This is only one unit, right? Or one chit. Super easy to move out of the way. But let's say I had this stack right there. Things are going to fall over, whatever. So I get it, what they're trying to do, right? Like there's 4 maps in this box. So we're trying to cram an extremely large area of North Africa into 4 maps that will fit on, you know, that you can game on, right? In a reasonable amount of space. So I understand the reasoning behind making things a little bit smaller. I believe this is standard for this series of games, the 1/2 inch. It's just too small. Like for this scenario, maybe they could have had an 8x11 small map that was blown up with larger hexes to make it easier. Pain in the butt. If you were playing this on Vassal, it'd be super easy, right? But, you know, I didn't buy a physical copy of the game to play it on Vassal, right? Like, you know, a lot of people are like, well, you know, you don't get the rules. Vassal just facilitates, and you don't, you know, well, I didn't pay however much money just to buy a rule book that I can play on Vassal with. I want the physical game. I wanted to play with the physical game. So, again, my biggest complaint is too small. So enough of that. Let's get on with it. So we're going to do an admin move. Each player may move all friendly units up to triple their normal movement allowance. They may not enter an ease lock. All units must end their move in supply. And we can't advance our position, right? Oh, let's see. Units may not move farther east. Axis units, well, we're going to start with Commonwealth first. So Commonwealth, we cannot move Commonwealth units further west than the westernmost starting Commonwealth unit. So I can't go past this stack. It doesn't say that I can go, so I can't move into an enemy zone of control. So I should be able to move here. That will be the farthest west I can move, and because there's a zone of control, that is also, I can move here, here, or here with any of these units, including those Australian units that are on the far east, in the town of Mersa Matruh. I'm sure I butchered that, but... So I think what I'm going to do is, here's my two Aussie units. It looks like we have the 25th Australian and the 21st Australian. I think I will move. Again, this is not optimal, right? There's probably people have already gamed this out and said, hey, this is the best place to move those things. I think I'm going to move you here. So we can move triple. So from there, we can move up to 33, which that's easily. Let me see, what are we looking at? We're looking at 3905. And that is 3926. So yeah, it's like 20 hexes. So I can easily do that. So that, I think... And then I can also move, as far as admin goes, I move you into Halfaya Pass. And then I will move this stack. Need to be left-handed, I think, for this. I'll move that stack. Actually, can I do that with an admin move? I can't move any further west than the westernmost unit. So then that would tell me that they can't move at all because they would be going further west, right? They would be going 1 hex farther. So I'm going to say that I can't move those guys. But I will also move this guy here. And I think that is it for, I don't know. See this one, I don't know if you alternate admin moves. 2.5. All right, if players agree, both sides conduct admin moves simultaneously to save time. So Now I need to get these German units closer. Again, we can't move into an enemy zone of control, so these 3 hexes are off limits. And I can't move past further east past this guy, which is not going to be a problem. What do we got here? We got a machine gun, we've got some Italians, and then we've got, we need to get that 2/5. I think those are brigades. No, those aren't brigades, those are battalions, I think. And of course, yeah, those are battalions. So we need to get that Panzer battalion. Let's get that Panzer battalion into here with these anti-tank guys. We'll get those Italians there. 551st Machine Gun Battalion. I think I can do this. I could probably, yeah, I mean, I have the movement to do that. So I'll move these guys here. Got the 33rd Pioneer Battalion, and we've got the 118. I think that is, what is the triangle? The triangle facing down is anti-tank. The triangle facing up is, oh, shocker, it's not listed in the thing. I want to say, I don't know what that is. So that's anti-tank, but that, shocker, it's not in the book. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Our air defense, which I don't think it would be air defense, but anyway. Stacking limit. Let me see. What do we have in here? I know there's supply units in there. All right. So we've got the 39th Panzerjäger, and then we've got the 8th BR. I don't know what BRS is, but that's infantry regiment, Italian infantry regiment. So I can get 2 guys into there. Let's do this. Let's definitely get him in there. And I could get him in there too if I want, or do I want to put him here? Let's just move him here. And then we'll put that on top. So in an opposed game, your opponent cannot look through your stack. They can only see what's on top. So that creates kind of a fog of war. I can also, so you'd want to put your weakest unit on top, right? And just throw your opponent off. Well, my opponent is myself, and it's pretty easy to throw me off because I have a very short-term memory. But there you go. That is the admin movement. And I'm going to try to move this. See, here again, this is the problem with the stacks, right? I like nice, neat, orderly, tidy stacks. So I'm constantly adjusting in them. And the higher they get, the easier they are to tip over. So what comes next? So that is the admin movement. Next we will do activations. So full limited reaction activations, and we will start with the Commonwealth. So you'll activate, and then once your activation's over, then you'll throw it over to the, it'll go to the Axis side. All right, I had to take a little break because I had to let my battery recharge. However, we are going to go into the activation phase. Commonwealth gets to activate first. So there was a supply under 2 under here and 2 under here. I activated 1 of each. So that's going to give me a full activation. I'm going to use my full activation to do an airstrike right here. So I'll roll 2 dice. All right, so the white die will be the first die. So I need to roll underneath a 4. And the red die, if I roll a 5 or a 6, so if I roll underneath a 4, then I'll DG the hex. If I roll a 5 or a 6 on the red die, then I'll get to step loss a unit too. So I'm just going to roll both dice at the same time. So it looks like we DG the hex, but we don't, unfortunately, we don't get a step loss. So The Allies only get 3 airstrikes. Actually, I could probably do another one, but I'm gonna save these 2 for some other time. So we're just gonna put the DG right there. So I think that means their defense values are everything's halved on these guys. So that was the airstrike or air barrage. Now I get to move. So I think I'll move this entire stack. I'm not sure about how the supply stuff works yet, like, because there's still a supply unit underneath here. I'm just going to leave it there. Supply can't be attacked. All right. So what I can do now is these guys with the yellow boxes, they can do overrun combat. So let's see who we have here. We've got all of those guys. So that looks like what, 11? That's a pretty stout unit right there, though. He's got a defense of 10. I think we will throw in the leader. So we will go ahead. Oh, let's see what the terrain effects are underneath here. See, look at that. That's all right. So there's a hill. So the low hill gives me a bad column shift. So holy smokes, there's a lot of stuff in there. So all that's halved, so that looks like 20, so that's going to be a defense of 10. Thankfully, I DG'd it. Or disorganized it. I was lucky to get that disorganization. And it looks like I have a 9, so that will be 9 to 10, so that's 1-to-1 odds. Let's see if my leader is okay. So I'll roll on the leader loss table. Can you see that up there? No, it looks like it's just out of screen. So you'll just have to trust me. So a 4 is the leader is okay. So the leader gives me a 1 column shift to the right, which will negate the low hill shift to the left. So there is no column shift. 1-to-1 odds. Let's see what we get. Yesterday I was rolling pretty high on attack, so that's a 6. A 6 on 1-to-1 is the attacker takes a loss. So that is definitely not what I wanted to happen. So you take a step loss on your strongest unit, which is that right there. We'll go ahead and well, I guess it could have been worse had I not gotten the DG or the disorganization. That would have been basically 1-to-2. Yeah, would have been the same. Wouldn't have mattered. Didn't matter. All that for nothing, man. It's it's amazing. Sometimes the mental exercises and physical exercises that you go through, and guess what? It doesn't matter. Everything's a wash in the end. So that was. These guys have been activated, so I'm just going to do that. Now, I expended the supply, anything within 10 hexes, so I can activate all of these guys. I still have... I don't see, this is one thing. I think you're supposed to do all your moves first. But I could be mistaken. So let me see here. Where is... All right. So this hex, this hex, this hex, and this hex are all victory hexes. I had them marked before with these things, but these are bigger than the hexes. So unfortunately, it's a pain in the butt when these will work on most maps, but SCS does the smaller hexes, which I talked about previously in the video. So let me see. So that hex, we own that. That's victory points. So we can do, actually that was just overrun combat. So we can now attack that hex. Actually, we would do this. So let's go here. Let's do all the movements. That's probably what we should have done. Was done all the movements. It makes stuff easier. And then we'll go here. So now, let me take this off of here. That was overrun combat, which wasn't successful. Now we can do standard, we can do a standard attack. And I think what we will do is we will attack with this one and hit here. So we know that that guy is 10. I think we're 6 now. 6 in this stack. 2, 4, 6. Yeah, no, or 8. Okay, so there's 8. And then what's this stack? Looks like 7. Yeah. 7 and 8 is 15. 15 to 10 is 1.5 to 1, which I think with the rounding rules goes to 2 to 1. So we are 2 to 1. Anything over, anything 0.5 and above rounds up to the next thing. So we are 2 to 1. Let's activate the leader again. If I roll over a 9, then the leader's wounded and doesn't contribute. So leader's okay. So we will negate the -1 column shift for attacking. Oh, hold up. These guys are attacking upslope. The attacker is halved. So that was what, 7, right? So that's 4. And it's going to be 1 to 1. So much for that. Good thing I caught that. So yeah, these guys right here are attacking up a slope. So 1 to 1. No column shifts. Here we go again. Let's see what happens. So that's a 5. That's the same terrible results. Well, I can see that this is not going to go well for the British. We are going to probably lose very horribly. It's got to be one of the stronger units. It's that one right there. So we'll flip you. This is what I'm talking about right here. Look, everything is so close because the hexes are so small. And if you're OCD, I'm not OCD, but if you want nice organized and tidy stacks and stuff, you're going to be knocking stuff over just trying to fix it. And then these guys here, they can attack. Let me see what we've got. I can't look at this stack, but I can look here. So that's 10. There's no leader in that stack. I can't look at the terrain, which that'll be favorable. I remember that there's an anti-tank gun there at least. An anti-tank gun is so... This is exactly what this is part of my good rant that I had earlier in the video. Okay, so I will attack. What did I say I had? I think I said I had a 10, right? So that's 10. Let's see what their defense is. So there's 2. No, that worked out in my favor. There's 7. There's 11. And there is 14. So I barely missed out on the 1 to 2 odds. So it's 1 to 1. I don't have any leaders, and the terrain is okay, so there's going to be no column shifts. That's normal open terrain. So 1 to 1. 8. That might be something favorable. 1 to 1. Attacker and defender each lose a step. And we'll do that. And it's got to be from the strongest unit. And no unit can take 2 step losses before all units in the stack have to take a step loss before a unit can take a second step loss. Now what I probably should have done is I probably should have tried to do a barrage right there. But, so that's one activation. Everybody activated, so we'll go ahead and I think you expend those supply units that are gone. So I think, what did I have? 2 more left. So I basically can do 1 more full activation. Now the Germans can do a reaction, but there's nothing to react with, so they're basically, it's basically the Germans' turn. So again, this hex here, this hex here, this hex, and this hex, they have to be, those are your victory hexes, and to win the game, a side has to have control of all 4 of those. So it's all 4 to win, or if it's less than 4, then it's going to be, it will end up being a tie probably. So let's go ahead. I think all the supply was there. So that hex there and that hex there. We kind of want those guys out of the way, but that escarpment right there. Yeah, there's that line. See, and this is the other thing. It's very hard to see the underlying terrain, but there's that escarpment, and you can't attack over the escarpment unless there's a road there. So right here you can see that road there in Hal 5 Pass, so you can attack from here to here because of that road, but you cannot attack, like, say, from here to here because there's no road that goes from there. So the terrain is very very prohibitive. So we will go ahead and do, we will activate both of those supply units, which will give us a full activation. So a limited activation, so a full activation allows you to do move, overrun, attack, barrage, and remove disorganization. A limited activation will allow you to do a move, an overrun, an attack, and remove disorganization. It doesn't allow you to do barrages. And I believe also that the full activation also allows you to exploit. So you can overrun, which is an attack, which happens during your movement. Then you can attack, and then if you are able to advance after combat, then you can do an exploitation, which is, I believe, I could be getting this wrong, I believe an exploitation is a 3rd attack. So if things go in your favor, the full activation will allow you up to 3 attacks. Whereas a limited activation only allows you to alright, so the exploitation, yeah, so the exploitation happens with a full, so the limited, you're not allowed to exploit, and you're not allowed to use barrages. So let's see what we want. We want this hex here, the Germans. The Axis wants this hex here, and they want that hex there. So I think we will go ahead and attack from here to here. Unfortunately, yeah, those are Germans there too. Maybe I want to go here, here, and attack those guys. Well, we will definitely do this because you can't, these guys cannot assist him because of this escarpment right here. So we'll go ahead and attack. And unfortunately, that's an AT gun. It doesn't help us at all in an attack. So it looks like it's 8 to 8, 1 to 1. When do Germans get to use their barrage? Movement and exploitation. So we will go ahead and use a barrage. Same thing. White die will be the success, and the red die will be if we cause a step loss. So yes, we successfully disorganized them, and we also caused a step loss. I think the attacking player chooses which unit he wants to step loss, so I can either kill this guy or I can hit this guy. Do I want to totally eliminate a unit? It's pretty much the same. That's tough. Actually, let me see. That's that would be 8 points. Or that, yeah, that would be 8 defense. Or that would be 8 defense. It doesn't really matter. I think I'll eliminate him. Because that way, if we cause a further step loss, that's tough. Yeah, let's just eliminate a unit. That way, if we get a really good result and the attacker has to take 2 step losses, then both of those will get hit. So, all right, did I remove my airstrike? I did. These guys are also disorganized. So let's see here. That is 8, so you are 4. Total defense of 4. Let's look at this terrain too. I think it's just flat. Yep, it's nice and flat right there. So it's 4. And my attack is 8. So that is 2 to 1. 6 on the 2 to 1 is each side takes a loss. Gotta come from here. I want those retreats is what I really want, and unfortunately I'm not getting any of them. Well, I think he has to take it. Unfortunately, I think because it's the strongest unit that the loss comes from, and he's already been hit. So we'll say that. I'm not quite sure. So it looks like here's the losses. I don't know if you can see those. I think you probably can. So here's our losses. That kind of hurt. That didn't work out the way I intended it to, because we're not getting retreat results. And then we will go ahead and use these 2 to attack right here. So again, we will use an airstrike. So at least it disorganized them. It did not cause a step loss. So we'll go ahead and put that there. Down slope, there's no penalty for attacking down a slope. Alright, that's a supply unit, so it doesn't matter. So we have a defense of 7. You don't do anything because you're an anti-tank gun. I think that's a supply unit, yep. So that's 12. These guys are halved because they're disorganized. That's 13. Halved is 6.5. Rounded up is 7. So 7 and 12 is 19. Looks like that's 2 to 1. Could possibly be 3 to 1, but it says in the rules that, look, don't. This is supposed to be a fun exercise. Don't get all wrapped up around odds. So I'm just going to say it is 2 to 1. 6.5 plus 12 is 18. 6, yes. All right. So let's go ahead and roll those dice. 2 to 1. That's a 7. So the defender loses 1 and retreats 1. Finally, we get some kind of result that is favorable for one side or the other. So we lost 1. Now, you can, when it says retreat, you can either retreat what it tells you to retreat, or you can take a step loss. So it was a retreat 1, so I can either retreat 1 or take 1 step loss. I don't want to take the step loss because retreating actually is good because that puts me in the pass right here, which is a victory. So that was there. Now I can advance after combat. So I think what I'm going to do is I will move all of these guys in here. Actually, I can move. So I will do that. Now I can move somebody from in there too if I want. That's a pretty big stack right there. Let's see here. We are on a hill, which that is favorable. Is there an AT gun in there? No, there is not. That guy's got a super good defense though. No, I will also be able to clear that disorganized marker at the end of my activation. So that will disappear. That's a good thing. I can move one more unit in there if I want. That's a risk. I don't know. I will get no assistance. That's the problem, is there's nobody to help you there. I think I'll move him in there. So I'll move him in there. That he is disorganized. Now I can do pretty sure Now I think I can do an exploitation. So I can conduct a third attack here. I can't attack from here to here. I think I have to attack. I will go ahead and press the attack. I'll attack there with these guys. The ones that just attacked. Let's see what we've got here. And that's a supply unit underneath. This guy cannot attack because he's got a 0. This guy's disorganized. So it looks like 12 plus 1.5 rounds up to 2. So that's 14 to 5. Alright, so that's 2 to 1. I think it's actually 3 to 1. Let's look. 5 divided by 14. Clear. It's 2.8. So that does round up. So that'll be 3 to 1. I did it the wrong way. 3 to 1. I think this is how it goes, guys. But again, it's just one of those things that's like, you know, 3 to 1. Let's see what kind of terrain. That is a hill. So we will do 1 column shift to the left, which makes it 2 to 1 odds now. Can you use leaders in a defense? Yes. There are no, you know what, I can't do that. There's no leaders in there, so it doesn't matter. So it's 2 to 1. 2 to 1. That's a good roll. 9 on the 2 to 1. Defender loses 1 and retreats 2. Well, we will lose that. And this guy, I could take the loss and not retreat, but he's dead anyway. Better to retreat. So we have to retreat 2. 1, 2. We'll go to the halfway house. Now we will go here. We'll go here. We'll go here. I'm going, where was this? I think that guy was there. I think the supply unit was there. I'm not going to advance the supply unit. Now that's the end of the activation for all the Axis guys. And now I will remove the disorganized markers. So there was one on one of those guys there, and then I'll remove that one. These supply units are gone. And now the activation goes to the Commonwealth. So they have 2 supply units left. Well, we need that. So this, 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 and this are all important hexes. What is that? That is that's a hill. So I can attack from here and here into that. I have 2 barrages, but I can only use those if I do a full activation. I only have 2 supply left, so I'd have to use both of them in the hopes of getting him out of there and being able to knock out this and this. I honestly don't see how that's going to happen. I see this working out as a draw. Just because I don't think I can capture this hex, and this hex. I can get at least one of them, I know that. Oh, man, that's tough. We're going to have to do a full activation because I need to use those airstrikes. What I should have probably done is used all of... I think you can use up to 3 airstrikes per activation. I should have used all 3 of them. Is what I should have done. But this is one of those things, right? Not being really familiar with the rule set. You really don't know, you don't know all the intricacies of the rule set, right? So I probably should have used all of those airstrikes on the very first. And with luck, I would have gotten disorganized on all 3 stacks of the Germans. Or the Axis, because we have Italians in there too. But we'll go ahead and play this out. Well, let's try to get the pass back. So we will go ahead and... actually, that guy, so where is it? So we'll activate that supply unit. Tiny counters. Not a fan. I don't know if I've said that before, but not a fan of the tiny counters. All right, we are attacking, so we don't get any penalty for attacking downslope, but we are attacking those low hills. These guys here can't attack that way because there is a road or path. Yep, so we can do that. So let's go ahead and do our barrage. We'll do one here, and then we will do the second one here. We'll see what happens. So we'll do the bottom one. So it disorganized but did not step loss. And then we'll hit that one. It disorganized but did not step loss. All right, so there's that. Now we can do movement. I think I'll move these guys up. My only hope of getting this is if I use that. So I think I'll probably have to use this guy here and this guy here to attack here. So let's go ahead and do that. So that is an attack factor of 1 divided by 1 is 0.5, rounded back up to 1. And then, oh, we can do overrun combat right here. Or is it overrun? Yes, we can do overrun first. So we're going to do overrun first on here. We will activate a leader. I probably should have divided those guys up. I don't remember if the setup allowed it. I think they both had to be in that hex. So we're going to do overrun first. We did our movement. Now we'll do our overrun. It's interesting. Should I have maybe moved one of these guys into there? I don't know. It's interesting to see how some of this stuff will play out. The Germans will still get, they have a supply left, so they'll still get 1 activation. Let's just roll with it and see what happens. So that's 1. Actually, you can't, this is an overrun only. So nobody's disorganized, so that's 8. Oh, we got some guys on the defense. Oh, that's going to be so tough. Oh my gosh, that's so many factors. That's 23. 23 divided by 2 makes it 11.5, which rounds up to 12. And then what did I say that they had 8? So that's 2 to 3 odds, which goes to, I think, 1 to 1. It'll be 1 to 1. Let's roll for the leader. The leader is safe, so we negate the low hill column shift to the left. So it is a straight up 1 to 1 attack. And that is awful. Attacker loses 1 and retreats 2. I could take 2 step losses. I will take 2 step losses only because, and yes, it'll be you. So now I can stay in place. And now I can attack. So that is 4, 5. Yeah, that'd be like a 1 to 2 attack. Yeah, that's definitely not going to work. So there's no way, because let's just pretend. What's a 1 to 2? I would need to roll at least a 10. I would need to roll a 10 to get anything favorable. All right, let's do this. And you're disorganized, and you're disorganized. So let's see here. If I, on a 1 to 2, if I rolled a 12, I'd make you retreat, but you could just absorb that. You'd take 1 loss max. How many units you got in there? They're all full strength, so I could absorb every single loss there. I could absorb all those retreats as a step loss and still have those guys in there. There's no way that I can get all I can't force these guys out of here, even if I roll the 12, which is the best result that you can get. So, if you don't control all 4 hexes, let's just double check the victory conditions. Victory, the player controlling Fort Capuzzo, which I believe is this. Yep. Fort Capuzzo, Solemn, which is this one, as well as both hexes adjoining Halfaya Pass, which is here and here, wins. If neither player controls all these hexes, the game is a draw. So the British cannot win. And the Germans actually might be able to win. So let's see here. So let's go ahead and roll that. We're going to say that that was... Actually, you know what? No, the British are not going to attack, because that would just be silly, because the odds are totally against them on a 1-2. They're going to take some kind of loss. So the British expended 2 supply. They are done. They get to clear disorganized. And now it goes to the Germans. The Germans will spend 1 supply. They get to do a limited, which means they can do overrun and attack. They cannot exploit. So we could, the British could actually win this, or not the British, the Axis could actually win this. So all we need to do is take over that spot right there. So we will move here. And we can do overrun, I believe. Let's see what we have. We need yellow border guys. Well, that's an anti-tank gun. There's no attack value, so this stat cannot attack. Both of those guys can. You're no good. All of those, this guy cannot, because he has no attack value. So we can do an overrun. So let's do that. That is 5 defense. That is 10, 15. That's 25. So that's 5-1. Holy smokes. Hold up. Actually, you know what? We cannot. These guys cannot do anything because of this right here. Where were they? They were here, right? We could go here and attack that way. I would lose. Let's do that. That just makes sense. So we're going here. We will be overstacked. I think at the end of that phase, we will have to eliminate some units, which is no big deal. I'll eliminate that. Anti-tank gun probably. So we still have, we're going from here to here and here to here. These guys, oh, I think they're halved. Escarpment, oh, they're a third. So it's not 25-1, so that's 10. These guys are thirded going that way. So what is that? That's 15, so that's 5. So it's 15 total. So that's 15-5, which is 3-1. Not quite as good as 5-1. Let's go ahead and roll. That's a good roll. 9. Defender loses 1 and retreats 2. Well, if we decide to stay, yeah, there's nothing that I can do. There's no possible way. So we'll go 1, 2. Were these guys disorganized? I don't remember. I think they might have been. Are all of those... So we're thirded to 5. Let's just see what would have happened. I don't know if all those reductions are cumulative. So that's 15. A third of 15 is 5. And then we half it because we're attacking, or we're disorganized. So half of 5 is 2.5 rounded to 3. 3, and what was this? 10, 13, 13, 5, 2 to 1. 2 to 1 with a 9. Defender, the results are the same. I know I'm probably confusing every single one of you out there, but hey, I think they were disorganized. Yes, they were, because these guys cleared. But does not matter, because now I'm almost positive, I'm not gonna, I think, because these guys are, what are these called? What's the yellow border guys called? Exploit capable. I think I could even move to here. I think I can do that. And then I could, I think I could attack again. At any rate, the Commonwealth has no supply left. The Germans use their last supply. So basically, to my understanding of this game, this scenario has ended with a German victory because they control 1, 2, 3, and 4. They control all 4 of the victory locations. So we have won a German victory. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not really 100% up on my history, but I believe the historical outcome is a German victory. I think I will, I'm going to go ahead and look that up real quick. I should know this because I'm kind of a World War II buff, but obviously I'm not that much of a buff. But I'll be back because I really want to see what the historical results of this battle were. Alright, it seems as though my suspicions were correct. I kind of thought that the Commonwealth did lose this battle, and they kind of did. So by looking on the internet, it looks like that the British were only successful in retaking Halfaya Pass, but not Fort Capuzzo or Solemn. So it looks like I had a somewhat, actually this was a historical, because it looks like the Axis were able to take all of that. But it's an interesting little scenario. This is actually the second time I've played it. The first time, of course, I played it, I had the supply rules completely wrong. I might have had them wrong here, but I had them completely wrong in the first playthrough. And so I had to ask some questions on Board Game Geek. The designer even responded very quickly to my question, answered it, cleared everything up as far as that goes. Interesting, again, this is a very interesting little scenario. Doesn't use a lot of units. So I think the overall scale of this particular game, because it's like the whole North African campaign, it's a little bit harder to model at the, I don't want to say this is this is probably strategic level. It's obviously not tactical level, but a strategic level, this is a small battle. This, I don't know if this scale works for this small of a battle. Now, if we were to do like the whole campaign, it's a little bit different. The scale works really well. But anyway, it was a fun little exercise. Again, my biggest complaint is just with the size, right? Like these hexes are too small for the amount of stuff. Even in this very small little scenario, the hexes are just too small. You can't see, I mean, look, you can't see, you can't tell that that's Halfaya Pass right there. I mean, obviously, if you've played for a while, you'll kind of know. But from a first-time playing perspective, there's too much clutter going on the map, too many things for the size of the hexes. That's my biggest complaint. Other than that, I think this was a very fun scenario. Once you kind of wrap your head around the supply stuff, I probably need to look at the exploitation stuff a little bit better. But Fun scenario. Look forward to playing it again. I'll probably move on to something else because I'm just one of those guys that I don't usually spend a lot of time playing something. But any one system, I like to jump around from system to system. But enjoyable. Only complaint is the too much clutter. The hexes are too small. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time.